You guys wouldn't believe it looking at me right now, but this is the worst makeup that I've done in a really long time. I don't know why, just nothing worked today. Nothing worked today. Hey everyone, it's me again, and now for something completely different. Welcome to Faith's Feels. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name's Faith Grenade, and I put makeup videos here on YouTube. And you should subscribe. Welcome to Faith's Feels. Faith's Feels is usually a review of a makeup product, or every now and again, I sit down and I talk to you guys about my views on things. My last Faith's Feels of that nature was a video about PTSD and being in a relationship with someone with PTSD and kind of how to manage that. I'll leave it in the cards up there if you guys want to check it out. But I haven't done one of those in a long time, and I went to a concert yesterday. I went to a Coheed and Cambria concert. It was amazing. Coheed did such a great job. The opening band called the Deer Hunter was fantastic. But while I was at this show, and I've been to a few shows now this summer, and I'm planning on going to more because, you know, for the longest time I was always worried about like money, like it costs too much, blah, blah. And, you know, finally I decided, since my mom died, I was like, life's too short to worry about, you know, how much something costs. So if I want to go see a band and the cost is within reason, obviously I'm not going to pay like thousands of dollars for a ticket, but if the cost is within reason, I'm going to go see them. So the more concerts I go to, the more I start realizing that, you know, we've kind of lost concert etiquette in recent years. You know, there's a lot of people who are not following like basic concert rules. And I mean, there are very few rules when you go to a live show, but I thought I would talk about that today. I thought I would talk about some do's and don'ts when you go to a live rock concert. Do arrive early and chat with other people waiting in line. Usually, the doors will open at a certain time, but my recommendation is to arrive early because the earlier you show up, the more likely you are to get a good spot on the floor, in the venue, and it's just easier on you as a whole. You know, you end up less stressed, you're not in as much of a rush, and talk to people. You know, part of, like, concerts are a social experience. Like, don't be afraid to talk to the people around you in line, like spark up a conversation or, you know, jump in. People who go to concerts are usually really, really awesome people, and you end up meeting some great folks just sitting there waiting in line. When you're outside the venue, don't try to cut in front of people in line. It's just shitty. It's, you know, some of those people have been waiting for hours to get in the door, and to cut in front of them is just not cool. You wouldn't do it in line anywhere else, so don't do it in line at a concert venue. Now, I know some concerts or some venues have like rewards programs and stuff, and some concerts have like VIP passes, so there might be multiple lines outside the venue. If you really don't know what line to wait in, ask a member of the staff. Be like, hey, I'm general admission, where's my line? And they will be happy to point it out to you. There was a group of people who showed up just as we were getting let into the venue. We'd been waiting outside for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and these people were like just crossing the street, and they just tried to slide in front of us, and we were like, where are you going? Line's that way. Do find a spot on the floor prior to the show starting that allows you to see while allowing people around you to see. It's pretty surprisingly easy to do that. You know, these shows have, most of the time, they're just this big, wide open floor and a stage, and that's about it. You know, there's plenty of open space, so where you want to go really depends on your personal preference. Me, as is evidenced by the fact that I'm talking really loud because I'm still like half deaf from last night, I like to be front and center. I like to be really close to the artists. I like to be sort of in the middle because I like to be approached from both sides with the sound that is coming out of their speakers and stuff. And I like to be close to the performers because I love interacting with them, and, you know, I love them being able to see me and acknowledge me, and I dig that. Some people don't. You know, for some people, like, being up front is a little too loud or a little too claustrophobic, so they would rather be closer to the back or off to the side. That's perfectly okay too. And if you want to get close to the front, but your hearing tends to be a bit sensitive, bring earplugs. I saw a lot of people at the venue with earplugs, and it's a great idea. You'll still be able to hear the music, but it won't be as like eardrum piercingly loud, because these shows tend to be very loud. So if you know that you have sensitive ears, just, bring earplugs ahead of time. Worst case scenario, you don't end up needing them. Don't try to get all up front of the stage if you're tall as fuck. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Every concert I go to, well, almost every concert, every major band I've been to see, there's always these tall ass motherfuckers who are like 6'5", 6'6", who try to get right up in front of you, and then no one can see. Like, I know that being tall is not something that you have control over, like that's something that just happened to you, and that's totally fine, but it's important, I think, to kind of have an idea and have some empathy for the people around you, you know what I mean? For at least, I would say 65 to 70% of the Coheed show, I couldn't see a damn thing, because my view was this. I took a picture of my view at the time. There was a really, really tall guy who was like right up toward the front, and no one could see that was behind him. It wasn't just me, it was like 7 or 8 people that just could not see. And it's just, it decreases the experience for everyone else. And it's just like, there are ways to get closer to the band and closer to the action without obstructing other people's view. Help each other out. If, it's in the middle of the concert and somebody falls, like, help them up. Or if, somebody ends up crowd surfing nearby, give them a little boost. It can be a little bit scary because you don't know if you're going to be able to, like, hold them up. Don't worry, there are other people around you who are going to be doing the same thing. So basically, for those of you who are unfamiliar, crowd surfing is when someone gets on top of the crowd and gets carried to the front of the room. It's pretty cool. I've never done it myself. I hope to do it one day, but there hasn't been the right time, and I'm kind of chicken shit about it. But anyway, when there's someone crowd surfing behind you, usually you'll get some kind of warning, because some people know the, like, stage etiquette. But just kind of hold them up wherever you have to hold them, try to avoid any private parts, and kind of push them off over to the next group of people. And just sort of, like, carry them up. Don't, like, drop them, obviously. And let people in front of you know that there's a crowd surfer coming. I remember, I can't tell you how many times at Warped Tour 2005, which was my first show, I can't tell you how many times I got kicked in the head by a crowd surfer that was coming from behind me because I wasn't warned. So warn somebody that someone is coming. Just be like, heads up, or look out, or, whatever. And that way everyone's happy, the crowd surfer gets where they need to be, and no one gets hurt, which is great. So don't be afraid to help people out. If someone falls, be like, yo, are you okay? And, like, help them up. It's just a good thing to do. Be a decent person to the other people around you. We're all trying to enjoy the same thing. Don't be a dick. If somebody is trying to get through the crowd to get to someone they know, help them out. Don't just, like, form a human barrier and block them from getting any further up in the crowd because you think they need to be further in the back or whatever. This happened to me last night. I went to the bathroom and the show had just started by the time I got out of the bathroom. And I was like, oh shit, I need to get back to where my husband is because we need to stay together so we don't lose each other. And so I started making my way through the crowd, and for the most part everyone was chill, obviously follow your normal manners, say excuse me and thank you and all that stuff. So I was just like, excuse me, pardon me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me, pardon me, excuse me, and, like, indicating where I needed to go so people knew, like, hey, I'm not just being a dick, I'm not just, like, cutting in front of you, I'm trying to get somewhere. So, and then I ran into this barricade of people. No matter how many times I said excuse me, no matter how many times I said where I was trying to go, they would not move. And they were blocking my view to begin with, so I couldn't see anything. And they were, like, shoving me backwards, and I was like, dude. And finally, one of them was like, oh, you're trying to get to your husband? Okay, well, come on, yeah, get and let me through. So yeah, if someone's trying to get through, you know, if they're trying to get to somebody and they're not being a dick about it, like, just let them through. I mean, chances are good that they're not going to obstruct your view of the show because they're trying to get somewhere, you know, and if someone's trying to exit the performing area, like if they have to use the bathroom or they're feeling claustrophobic or anything like that, let them through. It's okay. You know, it's just a brief thing and then you'll be back to enjoying the show. But don't be an asshole. You know, don't drop a crowd surfer unless you can't physically hold them up anymore. You know, don't be a dick. Like, you know, don't hurt people, don't shove people, just, you know, try and cooperate. If everybody cooperates with each other, it's a lot more of an enjoyable experience. I'll put it that way. Have a drink and enjoy yourself. Maybe even 2 drinks. Maybe 3 if you can tolerate it. A lot of these venues serve alcohol, and if you are of drinking age, again, we advocate for safe substance usage here at Faith Grenade Land, but, you know, if you are of drinking age and you have a DD and you want to have a couple drinks, sure, great, go ahead. Don't get shit-faced. Like, I don't know why people do this. It's like, do you really go to that many major band shows that you can afford to get blackout drunk at every single one of them and not remember anything? Like, if I'm paying, you know, however much money a ticket costs for a show, I want to remember that show. I want to experience that show. I don't want to just, like, you know, drink myself stupid and not remember anything. Don't bring booze into the venue. Most venues, 99.9% of the time, a venue will have a no outside food and drink policy. There's a reason for that. They're trying to make money, so they want you to buy their booze, but even besides that, it prevents people from bringing contraband in. And I saw so many people who snuck in bottles of booze and were, you know, there was someone who snuck in a bottle of Fireball and was like fucking pounding it down and just super drunk. You're gonna end up making a fool of yourself, you're gonna end up not enjoying the concert, and you're gonna end up making it shitty for the people around you, because drunk people can be shitty. It's fine to get a little bit tipsy, that's totally okay if you want to, and, you know, take the edge off the crowd. I get that. I'm kind of agoraphobic myself. Don't get shit-faced. It's not worth it. You're gonna look like an asshole. You're probably gonna have to leave the concert early because you're gonna be too drunk to function, and you're not gonna remember any of it. And I, you know, personally, I want to remember the concerts I go to. Like, that's why I go to them, is to hear the band and experience the band live and remember that experience. So, you know, it's not worth it. Don't get shit-faced. Don't do the hard drugs before you go to a show. You're just going to end up making an ass of yourself, and it's not worth it. Snap a couple photos for memory's sake. You know, maybe toward the beginning of the show, you know, when the band is still high energy and everything's still great, you know, whip out your phone and maybe snap a couple photos real quick just to, you know, preserve the memory. Don't keep your phone out the entire time. This is such a huge pet peeve with me. Oh my god. I can't stand this. This is like instant I think you're a dick. If you know, because I can't tell you how many people I saw at this Coheed and Cambria show, and this is the first time they had toured in a while, so it was already a special concert. It was called a Never-Ender, which is basically where a band plays an entire album start to finish without stopping. And this was a never-ender for one of their albums. It was a really anticipated tour. You know, it was a great show, and all I was seeing was people doing this. What? Put your phone away! Like, this is a memory that's gonna stick with you forever, and we have the best cameras on the planet already implanted in our head. Why? Like, sure, by all means, take a couple photos. I'm not stopping you from that. Like, I love taking a couple photos at concerts because then I get to look back on them and see them in my time hop years later and be like, oh man, remember that show? That was awesome. But don't sit there with your phone up like this. Not only do you look like a dweeb, you're not going to experience the full energy of the concert because you're going to be hiding behind an electronic device, and you're going to be making it difficult for the people around you to see because these phones are bigger than ever now, and it's like you're blocking between your phone and your arms. You're blocking probably about a dozen people behind you from being able to see. Here's what I do. When the show starts, the band's up there, everything's good. I whip out my phone real quick. I go click, click, and then I put it away. And then I keep my phone in my bag the rest of the concert, and I just enjoy the show. You know, I enjoy the show. I watch the performers. I take in the whole experience. So, because I have the photos to remember it by. And usually when you record concert video, it's not very good video quality. Anyway, it ends up, you know, because it's so loud, the sound ends up blowing out and it ends up sounding like shit. So it's not going to be a good way of remembering it. And God, there are people streaming concerts now on Facebook Live. Don't fucking do that. Like, it's not good etiquette. It's just, you're distracting yourself from the show. You're distracting people around you. There will be photo and video taken of the show, chances are good, because they hire photographers to come in and take photos. So there will be pictures. Don't worry about that. Put your phone away and enjoy the show. And I saw people texting during the show. Like, what are you doing? Unless you're really trying to reach somebody, like it's an emergency or something, put your phone away and just enjoy the show. Do mosh if you want to, and the venue allows it. Do crowd surf if you want to, and the venue allows it. Don't feel pressure to go in the pit if you don't want to. I usually avoid it just because I don't feel like getting a black eye. Like, I'm a makeup artist and bruises are hard to cover, okay? And mosh pits can get a little bit intense. You know, there is risk of getting hurt. So if you're concerned about that, especially if it's your first concert, I would just avoid the pit altogether. You'll see when it opens up, you'll start seeing this big pit open up in the middle and people are flailing around and throwing their fists everywhere and like pushing each other. Just avoid it for the first couple times. Like, after you are kind of a seasoned concert goer the way I am, you've been to maybe a dozen or so concerts, if you want to go in a mosh pit, go for it, dude. If you're feeling it and the energy's there and you just want to get in a pit and shove some people, go for it. Like, do it at least once just to have the experience of doing it. If your venue does not allow moshing or crowd surfing, don't do it. Follow your venue's policies. And yeah, I know it can be a little bit of a party bummer to like go to a rock show and not be able to mosh. I get it, trust me. But the venue bans those things for a reason. The place I went to for the Coheed and Cambria show, they did not allow moshing or crowd surfing because it is a small venue and you're risking injury. You know, there's a higher risk of injury that way. Like, it's one thing when it's an outdoor venue and there's big space, lots of room. But if you're in like a little warehouse the way we were, there's not going to be a whole lot of space and you're risking injuring other people, you're risking hurting yourself, and that's a liability for the venues. So don't do it. Like, I saw there was at least one pit that opened up toward the end of the show. They were good on that for the most part, but there was a ton of crowd surfers and I was like, guys, the venue doesn't allow crowd surfing, so don't do it. Like, you're gonna get yourself kicked out. You're gonna miss half the concert because you got kicked out in the middle of it for crowd surfing. It's not worth it. And that's about it, you guys. Those are all my do's and don'ts of being at a rock show. I like to think that those rules are fairly simple and they sort of apply to the real world too. It's just one of those like, don't be a dick kind of situations. I know I've said that a million times, but that's basically the long and the short of it. Like, don't be a dick. Have some, knowledge and concern for the other people around you, and you'll be just fine. You'll enjoy the show. It'll be great. Everybody will get to see everything and experience everything exactly the way it's meant to be. And even though, normally I live a very no rules, just right type of lifestyle, I think these rules are not just, an authoritarian way of the man trying to control you. I think it's just, a simple set of etiquette to help everyone enjoy the concert to the fullest. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found it helpful. If you're about to go to a rock concert for the first time, first of all, congrats on popping your live show cherry. I'm super happy and excited for you. I hope you have a great time. Be safe. don't get wasted, and for fuck's sake, put your phone away. Alright guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining. If you did, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt, you know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, got a couple options now. You could click the videos on either side of my head to binge if you're bored or bummed out, or hey, you could hit that button that looks like my face and subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. I put out new videos every Sunday-ish. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles!